should you pay to mix or master your tracks before you submit them to a library or a music supervisor? A very common question and a good question, because many of us as producers, as songwriters, we might have a great sense of melody and constructing a song, but maybe the technical skills of mixing or even the more, specialized skill of mastering a track is not something that's built into our skill set, and we haven't really honed that in. So we might be tempted to want to go outsource that to somebody else, pay for somebody, to mix or master our songs before we submit them to libraries. Now, this kind of goes back to another video I did about copywriting, which is that if it's something you can avoid paying for and it's not a necessary thing you need to be able to succeed in the business, then you're just adding unnecessary expenses to your business plan there. You're basically paying for something that if you just took a little bit of time and learned how to deal with yourself, you would be saving yourself a lot of money and a lot of time, because then you're going to be a one-man operation where you compose the song, you create it, and then you mix it and even master it from your home studio. Now, here's what I will say. When you send tracks to a library, a music supervisor, anybody in the TV film licensing business, they're not going to care whether or not your track was professionally, quote unquote, or professionally mixed or mastered, right? It's really just a binary yes or no reaction they're going to have. Either this sounds great or this sounds like crap. That's it. So they're not going to have any sort of in-depth knowledge as far as, well, it sounds amazing, but the frequency at 2K is a little bit bumped up too much. They should have mixed it. No, most people have no idea what's going on in a track. All they know is, does it sound good? Does it make me feel good? Will it actually fit this scene that I want to put this track into or not? That's really it. So what I recommend for you, if mixing is not your strong point, and obviously mastering for many of us is not, obviously, because we don't do that often, is to always include a reference track in your session. So I use Logic, but if you use Pro Tools or Ableton, whatever you use, just make sure you import a professionally mixed and mastered track that, let's say, was a top 40 hit or something similar to the genre or track that you're creating, so that when you're mixing and trying to get to that final stage where you want to bounce, you can always mute all of your tracks and just solo out the reference one, and you can A/B compare what's going on in a professionally mixed and mastered track as opposed to what is going on in your track. So maybe the reference has more low end and it's really warm down there and crisp and clear, and your low end is very, very muddy and undefined. So you'll get to see instantly when you can compare A to B what you can be doing better. When it comes to mastering, there's many approaches to that. For the most part, for myself, I'm only throwing on a little bit of EQ to take care of some, problem frequencies that are building up throughout my track, and some limiting. That's it, just to make sure that it's not blowing out and distorting on the output. But that's really all I do for mastering, is I just make sure that it's not clipping. And if there are any sort of problem frequencies, particularly in the very high end, a lot of times you'll get like some hissing or some really annoying sounds, with the hi-hats or swooshes or crashes that you have. You want to basically knock those out and maybe clean up the low end, take out a little bit of that low end. You don't need all of that rumbling at the very bottom of your frequency spectrum. You can cut some of that out if need be. But that's about it when it comes to mastering. And I've had a career making tracks and producing them and sending them out to libraries and getting placements. And I've never spent one dime sending my tracks out to get mixed or mastered or anything like that. So it just takes a little bit of, going out there and just doing it, right? I mean, there's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of resources online for how to mix, how to master, and definitely take advantage of those and get yourself educated. But really, even learning about it is not the same as just putting a plugin in, seeing what it does to your mix, putting a limiter on, seeing how that limiter works. And yeah, every limiter is obviously different and has different parameters and will react differently to your mix. So just like everything else in life, you got to get in there, you got to do the work, you got to try. Trial and error over the course of many weeks or months, you'll start to see an improvement with your mixes and with your mastering. So hopefully that answers your question about whether or not you should be paying to have your tracks mixed or mastered. If you want to learn more about the TV film music licensing business, then click this video right here and you'll be sent a free crash course which will teach you everything you need to know to get started today.